What's going on, everybody? It's Bob's Three-Toed Warriors. We're going to talk about wide receivers. We're going to help you win your league with some wide receivers. That show is going to start right. All right, it's Bob's Three-Toed Warriors with Word on the Streets, Season 1, Episode 31, live stream, number 5. Just getting all kinds of weird numbers in there. Why not? We're talking wide receivers. I know, right? Add up, do the math. Detroit BC is on the show with me today. He is taking back his crown for number one guest appearances on the show. Detroit BC, welcome back, sir. How you doing? And let everybody know where you can be found.
I'm great. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure. Always great to meet new people like the man below me in Buffalo, Antonio's. Nice to meet you. You can find me on Twitter at Detroit BC. All my content is exclusively at DFS Cheat Sheet every day, every morning. Hockey DFS article followed by baseball DFS article and or video. So you guys know, I mean, I don't need a hammer at home.
Lots of good content. Follow the man if you want some good content. If you love playing DFS, definitely a great follow. Antonio, how you doing down there?
I'm doing great, fellas. I'm doing great. Happy Hump Day.
There we go. Hump Day. All right, tell everybody where you can be found and what you got going on.
So, yeah, Antonio Donisi FF on Twitter. That's Donisi. I'm on the Dynasty Mafia podcast with my brother Eric and one of my good buddies, Keenan Jimajich. So we started that back in April, just putting a lot of good stuff out on episode 9 coming up soon. Excited to meet people just like you. Exactly. Like, what BC said. So just ready to go, man. Excited.
You're sure? You're sure you want to make that sit? You're excited for him?
All right. Well, I am Bob's Three-Toed Warriors. And as I-80 Sports says here, Bob number 2, that's the other Bob. He was on a show recently. I'm not Bob number 2. That make me shit. You can find me on Twitter at Bob's Three-Toed, on YouTube at Bob's Three-Toed Warriors, Facebook, Word on the Streets, Fantasy Football Podcast. So shows are currently coming out Mondays and Thursdays, live streams on Wednesdays, and the replay of the live stream is on Saturdays. So let's not waste any more time with that fun stuff. Everybody make sure you're following my guests. Make sure you're subscribing to the show, hitting the notification bell so you can find out when the new stuff's going. Detroit BC's pointing and navigating there for you.
It's everywhere.
Don't hesitate to put your comments in here, and I love listening to them during the show. Reading them during the show, and then you guys can listen to them. And let's do this. So we're trying to help you guys find wide receivers in your draft that can help you win the draft, not overreach. Some of my ratings here might be an overreach. Not miss your guy by taking him too late. So I did the wide receiver preview part 1, and that show comes out tomorrow, Thursday. So for those of you watching right now, you're like, wait, how are you doing show 1 before show 2, but 2 before 1's coming out first? That's because the replay comes out on Saturday. So if you're listening on the podcast, you'll be able to hear it in order. So here we go. I did 1 through 12, I believe, on the first show. We're going to start with number 13. That's DJ Chark, and I have him. Here's what I have. I got Cooper Kupp. I got Allen Robinson, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, then DJ Chark, DJ Moore, Mike Evans. That's kind of the 10 through 15 gap right there. So DJ Chark at 13, guys. Above DJ Moore. I think that's probably a little crazy talk for a lot of people, but how you guys feeling there? And he's only separated by 0.26. So what's that? 20-yard catch? Not even?
In the last few months, what I've gathered in my not so expertise opinion, people are either love DJ Chark or they hate him. They're all in on him or they're completely fading him. And to be honest, I found nobody who's in between until I asked myself, and I'm kind of indifferent to the whole thing. I'm in between. Would I rather have the next guy on your list, DJ Moore, over Chark? Yes, but depending on the situation I'm put in on let's say draft day or in a trade, because I don't want to spoil what we have for Moore, but I don't want to say considerably more targets, but I have a good 10, 15 more targets for more than Chark. But that normally, if anybody's played fantasy football long enough, or you guys have crunched numbers and did broadcasts like the three of us have done, targets really don't mean much. It's what you do with them. So a guy could have 150 targets, but only catch 70 of them, which would be horrible. But what does he do with those 70 catches? So what's DJ Shark going to do with his, as I have it predicted, about 70 catches? What is he going to do with, his 120 targets and his 70 catches? He's going to put up more yards. Is he going to put up more touchdowns? We don't know. We can only, guess and give our opinion. So I'm a DJ Shark guy. Let's say it. I'll put it out there right now. I'm coming out. I'm no longer indifferent on him. I'm a DJ Shark guy.
How you sitting over there, Antonio?
Yeah, I'm sitting pretty similar to how BC was. Like he said, there's no one way or another until, he kind of dived into it. I'll take that pretty similar approach because I didn't realize he had almost 120 targets when I was looking at it. I know that he was loved by Minshew. I know that he did, really good things, but he never really had, I guess, more the very explosive game besides, what was it, the first couple of weeks where he had over 140 yards and 160 yards. So after that, he kind of got a little quiet. And they bring in Laviska Shenault. They bring in Tyler Eifert. They bring in Jay Gruden as an offensive coordinator. I think they're going to give Minshew the rock. I think they're going to let him do his thing. Shark's going to get a little more targets. I think Chenault's going to come in and do really well in the short yardage game where Minshew likes to be. And, I think they're going to get, that 4 or 5 win range and just be able to maintain and chase.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking here is that, and then the boy is 22, trying to sneak his way onto the show since he's not in the show today.
See, everything he says right now, it's like I feel like it's disingenuous. It's out of spite, right? So Kevin,
harsh. Sorry,
say,
Kevin, he's picking on you.
Hi, Kevin. Great,
hey,
good to see you in the comments. But he shared our, he was very nice, and he shared that we were coming on, and I was going to reply and say what I just said. I feel like everything is coming out of a place of not so genuine, but
I figured that little war was coming. All right, so
Kevin knows it's all love.
It is all love. Let's get back to DJ Shark here. I got him down for 124 targets, which is only 6 more than last season. And he missed a game last season, so you get one more game back. Boom, there's your 6 targets. You're solid. 1,097 yards, only 79 more than last year. And again, given that game back, you're in. 8 touchdowns, the same as last year. So about the same finish as he had last year. And in that, you finished wide receiver 16. And you can get him about a good round, probably later than DJ Moore, at least a half round later than DJ Moore. And that's where the value comes into me. Give me the guy that everybody's not hyping up nearly as hard, but can still get you a good workload. And I think his result that I have him slated up for is pretty reasonable. So let's talk about the guy that I think most people will say I don't have reasonable. And I know you have a hard stop coming up here shortly where you're going to have to run on us Detroit Beastie. So before we go into DJ Moore, do you have a certain player that you hated where I ranked?
Looking down at your list, I mean, as before we went live, we were chatting a little bit, hamming it up. And I came to a realization that no matter how much work that we do, no matter how many numbers we crunch, there's always something else to learn. There's always numbers that are going to pop out to you. And sometimes it's the most simple numbers. And there were some guys, like I told you, Gallup, I had no idea he had 115 targets last season. I thought he was like not a nobody, but he was just a wide receiver 3 or a 4 in terms of rankings. But with 115 targets, you can do major damage with that. I don't like where you have I don't like where you have Diggs sitting, at 23. And
too high or too low?
Too high. I don't like him in that spot. I would prefer him maybe in the late 20s. So we're not talking like a huge gap in rankings, but I would say late 20s, even early 30s, because looking at the list that you sent me ahead of time, I could probably count on, both of my hands guys that I would prefer over him. But other than that, it looks good. And again, hey, who am I to judge anybody else's rankings? I've long said that I'm here to, to support and, talk to people about this stuff. I'm nobody special, so who am I to put down your rankings?
That's what this is all about. It's about tearing them down, beating them up if we need to, and just trying to get the people who are drafting soon comfortable with their drafts and looking for player values. So here's a little love on in some damn place called Buffalo. I don't know if anybody Buffalo fans are on this show. Oh wait, there's one right there. So I'm sure you'll have some input on this. But Diggs' last 2 years. 148 targets, 102 receptions, 94 targets, 63 receptions. In the touchdown realm, that's where it really popped in there. 9 touchdowns 2 years ago, 6 last year. So that's what he's done historically. I have him for 102 targets, 68 receptions, and only 1,000 yards with 8 TDs. So I'm a little bit hyper. You should probably only have about 6 TDs on that many receptions, but I got him for 8. John Brown, I got for the same 102 targets, but his catch percentage tends to be a little lower, so 59 receptions, and that's because he's more the deep threat. Only 873 yards on that with 6 TDs.
Yeah.
So, all right, Buffalo. Oh, go ahead.
No, real quick. No, well, go ahead, Antonio. I don't want to steal the show and give my. I can go after you because I was going to tell you who my stats and what I have in projected.
Yeah, go. No, you go for it, man. Go for it.
Well, it's nothing crazy. I don't have him over 100 targets. I don't have him over 1,000 yards. I don't have him more than 5 touchdowns. Maybe 5 is his ceiling this season in terms of touchdowns. So it's not grim by any means, but he's just someone I don't want to draft at his current price, which I know is it's a buzzword, it's a buzz term, and it could be considered lazy to some people. But you look at Buffalo, right, Antonio, and Josh Allen is fantastic. I love the guy. I own him in a super flex, but he's not, as it stands now, he's not the most accurate guy. So again, a guy could get a lot of targets. It's what you do with them. But if you get a lot of targets and your quarterback isn't, spot on, putting the ball in a basket from 50 yards away. So again, love him or hate him, I'm indifferent to the whole thing. Not
where you sitting with him.
So I think those are definitely some valid points, but that's the Josh Allen of 2019. I think the Josh Allen of 2020 is going to be a quarterback that's going to have a lower average depth of target. They bring Stephon Diggs in. He's never had someone like that. You bring in an older John Brown who has the best season of his career. You bring Cole Beasley in who has his highest career receptions. I think he did really well. Dawson Knox had 500 yards. Not many rookie tight ends can do that. And he did all of this with a 4% accuracy, something along the lines. And Buffalo was one of the top teams in drops. Let's, analyze that one. Dawson Knox had 10 himself. So he would have been near 60%, if Dawson Knox didn't have those 10 plus a few other guys. But to get to Diggs here real quick, he's one of the only players that could ever have 10 yards a catch per season and then over 13 yards per catch a season and get over 100 yards or 100 catches and then, get only 60 catches. It's amazing how good he is with what he can do. He's amazing with the route tree. And I think Josh Allen they're going to throw him the ball. They gave him a first round pick over to Minnesota plus for a reason. I have him for 133 targets. I have 94 catches. I have a career high in 1,190 yards. This isn't a Buffalo thing. This isn't a homer thing. I know it's going to look like that, but they got him for a reason. I only have John Brown for 93 targets. I have Cole Beasley dropping down to 80. I think that Josh Allen's going to get unleashed, and they're going to be throwing some more balls.
So real quick,
he's an absolute talented player. So
real quick, if I may, Bob, I just want to ask Antonio. So how many? This is not a dig. It's not coming from a place of nastiness. How many games off the top of your head do you project that Diggs is going to play in this season?
So I always project 16. I don't project for injury. There's definitely the chance in that pass that he certainly could. He's never played 16 games his whole career. So it's definitely, if you put your chips on that, you're probably in a good side to say, hey, he won't. I'd like to say at least 14 though. And if he can get 14, he's close to 1,000 yards. I did forget to mention, he's never been the number one threat in the red zone any season that he's played. He's always had somebody better or just not had that attention, or they're on a run first team. He's got that now. And that's, a little less accurate, I know we can say, but he's got that.
Yeah, I know. I completely respect it, and it's I hopefully I'm not the first person that said this, but your projections for Diggs are really ambitious, but I respect that because that's what we're here to do. Sure. You like a guy and you run with it. So I appreciate it.
And one last thing, if you don't mind, real quick, just because this will tune in some other players. There's only been 4 teams in the last 5 years to throw under 450 attempts. It's been the Seahawks, the Vikings, and Tennessee Titans twice, and these are all in the last 2 years. So nobody throws under 450 attempts. So if Josh Allen's throwing 100 more than Kirk Cousins does, you can expect Diggs is going to get at least 20 or 30 more than his 94. And I'll end on that.
All right. I like it. let's change gears a little bit and let's go to the guy that many people would say, James, what the hell are you doing? Why are you so low on everybody's hype train this year? That's what I'm calling the damn guy, who I did draft last night in my draft. So whatever, the price is right. I took 2 running backs early. I wanted a wide receiver. So here we go. Here we are. I took DJ Moore in my 3rd round. It was a keeper league, so that's the equivalent of a 4th round in a regular league. And I was happy with that. Pair him up with Galladay, who was my keeper, and that's a nice start for me with 2 running backs. So I liked it. So DJ Moore, I have him as my wide receiver 14, and I got to sort this back by wide receivers. I call it the rest of the world, or the professionals out there on Fantasy Pros, I guess, in half PPR. And these are half PPR stats for those who are looking. Hopefully I didn't mess up anybody there. I think I said that. DJ Moore is number 11. So not terribly low on him. 3 spots low on him. What do we think about DJ Moore here at number 14? You want him higher than that? You want him sooner? And before you answer that question, while you're thinking about your answer, J-Quad said, "Hey fellas, J-Quad, if you're still watching, back at you, buddy. Thanks for watching the show." And Joshua Anderson, like me.
So real quick,
Josh
if I
Allen,
may, Bob.
consistent. There we go.
Real quick, if I may, Bob, I know Josh Anderson.
Okay.
We were chatting earlier. He was asking for some advice. I sent him a screenshot of your rankings and my list of my notes. So we were going back and forth. Okay. I said, if you're not busy tonight, tune in. We'll say hi. So Josh, thanks for tuning in. And look forward to many more conversations, because not to get sidetracked, but he's just starting out in terms of wanting to write and do rankings and projections. So a lot of our conversation was, well, hey, Chris, how do you? He was asking some really good questions, not your basic, well, Diggs. Well, if you think he's got, it was like some legitimate questions, because he's trying to learn and do his own rankings and projections. So I look forward to chatting with him more, and maybe in the future we can do a collab or something, Josh. So thanks for tuning in, my friend.
Look at that, connections. That's the fun thing with fantasy Twitter, man. It's a great place to meet people, and that's how we're on the show right now. So
absolutely.
All right, so let's slide back over to DJ Moore and you guys' thoughts on DJ Moore.
Go ahead, Antonio. I've kind of gone first every time. I feel like a jerk about it. So.
Oh no, man! You don't worry. You got other things to go on to later. Don't worry, man. You're grinding. I'll take it though. DJ Moore for me, my wide receiver 6. So I definitely want him higher. So I
choked on my unofficial sponsor, Mr. Jim Beam here. Jeez.
That's beautiful, man. Don't worry. No, I understand it though. I mean, he averaged almost 10 targets a game with the, one of the worst passers in the league of Kyle Allen.
Sure.
He was so bad, man. And he still was able to get almost 1,200 yards. The problem is why he finished, at 16 was 4 touchdowns. He's the guy that really does it between the 20s, and he's going to get you a lot of catches, and that's why half PPR, he does well for me. But I think he's at least going to up those touchdowns from 4. You have Bridgewater coming in, obviously. You have Joe Brady coming in from that fantastic LSU offense last season. Bridgewater's an upgrade. There's no doubt about it. He's going to throw the ball to DJ Moore a lot and treat him like Michael Thomas. And speaking of, when he was in for Drew Brees for New Orleans, Michael Thomas's pace, it didn't change. His targets were the same. His yards were the same. So I think that's what he's going to do, is transition that over to DJ Moore. I think he's going to get pretty close to almost 160 targets. He's in line for 100 catches. He averages over 13 yards a catch. So, 1,300 yards and 6 touchdowns. That gets him my wide receiver 6.
Okay. Give me those last stats again real quick.
He's got so I have him for 158 targets. Okay. I have him for 104 catches, 1,340 yards and 6 touchdowns.
All right. I got him for 136.87, almost 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns. So I'm just lacking on the receptions, and I think that's because I have Robbie Anderson getting probably a little too much work, because I got some deep Robbie Anderson love that runs a little too deep. 94 targets for him, 51 receptions and 700 yards. Yeah. I'm probably way too high on Robbie Anderson, but the man is a guy you want to throw the ball to if you want some touchdowns.
I love him in New York.
Yeah. All right. Detroit DC. Are you thinking 5 or are you thinking 14? Where you got? What are you thinking?
No, me and you are pretty much in lockstep together, Bob. I have him number 13, and excuse me, I have him about 135, 140 targets, 85 to 90 receptions, and like you said, almost 1,200 yards. You know, maybe 5, maybe 6 would be too many. I think 6 would be a little wild in terms of touchdowns. And we've been talking about DJ Moore, Teddy Bridgewater in Carolina, and nobody has said Christian McCaffrey yet. I mean,
no, McCaffrey, I've got him for 107 targets, so I'm still giving him some work, you know.
Yeah, they got to come down. And, you know, we can't forget DJ Moore did that in 14 games.
Yeah,
which is outstanding.
Yeah, but no, McCaffrey's great, but he can't get that many targets. And like Bob said, you know, he's got Robbie with a little bit. Curtis Samuel probably will take a little bit down, of course, too. And maybe Ian Thomas will step up.
Yeah, I gave Ian Thomas a little more love just because he gets to allegedly be the man now. There's a bunch of nasty stuff going on behind him. So, all right, that was DJ Moore. Mike Evans, this man is getting disrespected this year. He's at number 15. Last year, was he was a what, early second round pick?
Yeah, it's very close. Yeah, he was, I believe, like 13, 14.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's still ranked number 9 wide receiver for Fantasy Pros. I have him down at number 15. So I'm stinging him a little harder than they are. We got to take a look and see what's going on there. Why is that? Why does Bob not like him? Tampa Bay starts with a T. There's a T there.
You're right. A, B, C, D, E. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
Hooked on Phonics worked for me, baby. Or did it? It seemed like it kind of didn't there. So the Godwin-Evans debate. Who's got it under control? Is anyone going to be in lockstep with Brady? Is Brady going to pass for 600 attempts? And what's it going to look like out there, guys?
I'm a big Mike Evans fan. I remember going all the way back to the year of that draft. I was really hoping because if I'm not mistaken, the Lions, in terms of their draft selection that year, they were in the mix, and he went a few picks prior to him. And he was one of them guys I watched a lot in college. He was Texas A&M, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. And I loved him, and I still do. As you've said, Bob, he's been disrespected. I did a mock draft about a month ago, and it was just a standard format, meaning no super flex, no double quarterback. And Evans lasted until the 5th round. I mean, that's nuts. Personally, I have him about between 137 to 140 targets. I have him out targeting Chris Godwin this season, but I'm talking about, I can count on one hand the way that the target differential will be. So it's not like, oh my God, Chris, you're an absolute idiot weirdo. But Evans
besides the point.
Evans can be, he's a wide receiver 1, right? And people misconstrued that saying. I'm not saying he's going to be the wide receiver 1. He's a wide receiver 1 for your fantasy team and fantasy purposes. So what can you say about Mike Evans? He's at this point in his career, he's not an old man. So when I say slow and steady, I don't mean it in the literal fact. You put him, you can plug, you can set it and forget it, let's say, right? I mean, so
sure. Antonio, how you feeling over there?
So I got Mike Evans as my wide receiver 5. So that means I've
that's where you had DJ.
He's 6.
He had 6.
Oh, 6. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So I got Evans 5. So when was the last time Tom Brady had a big wide receiver that can catch the ball downfield?
Never.
Randy Moss. Now,
Randy Moss.
I'm not
almost
Randy
never.
Moss.
It was so long ago, but yeah.
Exactly, right? So I'm not saying Randy Moss, but Bruce Arians loves Mike Evans. Bruce Arians has also got a knack for throwing the ball a lot. He's had Peyton Manning. He's had Andrew Luck. He's had Ben Roethlisberger. Sorry, not Andrew Luck. Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, even when his days in Cleveland, every single quarterback that he's has had a career high in yards per attempt or interceptions or yardage. Every single year, and touchdowns, mind you, there too. So it's somehow, some way, he sets career highs for every single quarterback to come through. Ironically enough, Jameis Winston last season set a career high in touchdowns, set a career high in interceptions. It's just what Bruce Arians does. I think Tom Brady's going to throw the ball a lot. I'm the same with Beastie, where I only have an 8 target differential between Mike Evans and Godwin. They both didn't play 16 games last season. They were on almost the same exact pace.
How many targets are you giving them out of curiosity?
Would you say? I'm sorry.
How many are you giving the two of them?
I have 100. I have 141 for Mike Evans and 135 for Godwin.
Okay, I'm at 120 for each. So I'm pacing behind by quite a bit.
Well, so I think that he's going to get near the 100 catch range, like he did back in 2016 when he had over 170 targets with Jameis. But the only problem is he's got a 55% career catch rate with Jameis. You jump that at least 10% with Tom Brady, the best ever. I mean, you got to talk about a guy that's never had less than 1,000 yards and only less than 8 touchdowns twice in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's a dangerous red zone. I mean, who is he going to not pass to in the red zone?
Absolutely.
Like he could honestly have 25 to 30 touchdowns in the red zone alone. I mean, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, he's got running backs out of the backfield. He's got 2 tight ends that are beasts. He's got wide receivers that can do it.
Well, yeah, Bob, hate to cut you off. I'm going to
your hard stop there. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to split. Thank you for our short time together. I'll be in touch. It was a pleasure to meet you, Antonio, and good luck with the rest of this. And if Bob's okay with it, I will tweet out the list of my notes that I had for an entire broadcast. As long as Bob gives me the heads up that it's okay. And when you publish it, I will add the screenshot of my notes in with your publication there, Bob.
There you go, buddy. You do that. Enjoy your next show, and you have a good night.
I'll talk to you guys. Nice to meet you,
man. All right. For everyone who was watching, that was Detroit Beastie on Twitter at Detroit Beastie. He's a great follow, great information. Always willing to talk his players and what his thoughts are, and it's just good conversation. Good guy. So
he really is, yeah.
Just you and I, buddy.
Just you dynamic duo. Here we go.
All right. So we're 27 minutes in, and we are 3.5 players in. So we're on pace to really crush this bad boy.
We'll go a little quicker here.
Yeah, no, you know what? We will, just based on 2 people versus 3. Mathematically, 2 opinions versus 3. But I love having the multitude of opinions in there too. It always brings an extra touch and extra thought. So I love it. I think I don't give any of the other wide receivers any work. I give about 100 receptions between the tight ends, and I give about 130 between the running backs. Brady is usually good for about 570 and out there in New England, and these guys are good for 630. I don't know where they're going to fall.
I'm right in the middle, man. I'm 595.
It's such a weird scenario, right?
It is. It's crazy to think that with a 42-year-old, you don't know what he's going to do.
Right? Exactly, man. Exactly. So that was Mr. Mike Evans. I have Terry McLaurin less than just over a quarter point less than Mike Evans, which means that maybe he should be your wide receiver number 6 since Evans was your 5. No. It's like, James, that was your ranking, not mine. So take that down a notch. Terry McLaurin falls in as wide receiver 20, right behind Lockett and just ahead of DJ Chark on Fantasy Pros. You feeling more in the 20 range, the 16 range? Where are you like in McLaurin there?
So I got him right at 16.
Okay.
And so I like McLaurin. I loved him as a rookie, man.
Okay.
He was just lights on fire, and he had similar, like I said with DJ Moore, just very poor quarterback play, and he was able to do so much with so little. Him and Juju had actually extremely identical numbers in their rookie seasons. And he was the one that kind of lifted Haskins. It wasn't that Haskins lifted him. Even though they played together in college and Haskins did really well, McLaurin took the seat in the NFL.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if everybody remembers, right in the beginning, he had a touchdown pass in the first 3 games. He was the first player in NFL history to catch at least 5 passes and a touchdown in their first 3 games.
I did not remember that stat.
Yeah, he was fantastic right from the beginning. I mean, he had over 900 yards. Only not so many rookies. Only 18 rookies have done that since 2012. So that shows you how well he had to do in that production area. And again, with the Dwayne Haskins that we're hoping takes that next leap, a Washington team revamping everything, a Washington football team.
So I give McLaurin 114 targets, which I think is pretty respectable. 71 receptions, 1,100 and change in the receiving yards, and 8 touchdowns. I think he's going to pick up where he left off last season, improve a little on that. I'm just not expecting a big blow up year just because I don't feel good about that Washington football team that should have named their team the Washington Warriors and not had to change their damn logo. But that's just my opinion there. Yeah, like I'll take him.
So, well, let me ask you this. So who would be, I know we've been going through them, but with what he did last season, and like I said, you only got to hope for improvement around everybody. They did bring in some linemen. You have to. I mean, you got him for how many yards? How many yards did you say?
1126 on 71 receptions, 114 targets.
Okay, so that's not too far. Yeah, that's not too far off from me. I got 82 catches for 1,280 yards, but I got him for 9 touchdowns. So I mean, he does it from long, he does it from short. I just think he's just so talented.
He's talented, exactly. Yeah, he's very talented.
That's why that's the only thing that worries me, though. It's what's his quarterback going to be like? But if they are top 3 next year, I mean, there's only more hope. Bring in.
I agree. Let's go to. Damn it. I was about to pull up T.Y. Hilton, and while I was doing that, you said the quarterback thing, and I was about to make a joke about quarterback play, and I was about to pull up the LA Chargers, thinking about Phillip Rivers being on the Chargers instead of the Colts. Indianapolis Colts. That starts with an I. There we go. There's Indy. I have Mr. T.Y. Hilton at 195. He is wide receiver 17 for me. T.Y. Hilton falls in at number 26 on Fantasy Pros. I'm hoping for a good season for him staying healthy and him connecting with his quarterback. I guess that's the best way to say that in short. How do you see him this year?
I'm not as bullish, I'd say.
I guess I'm very bullish.
No, you're not. No, that I mean, I guess I should reword that. I've seen a lot of people that have had him near the mid to late teens. I just don't think he's going to come in and have that instant connection with Hilton because Hilton's a deep ball guy, right? And you just saw Mike Williams and kind of some of the ducks that are coming from Phillip Rivers. I think the biggest proponent who's going to deal with those issues is going to be T.Y. Hilton. Now, he's efficient. He's an efficient guy when he gets the ball. So he'll be able to get those catches in his own right. But if he's got, 65 catches, is he going to get you that 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards you're hoping for? That's where I struggle, especially with Pittman coming in, Paris Campbell looking like he could do really well in the slot. That Phillip Rivers loves his his running backs. He's going to throw to them a lot. Blanking.
Yeah, I got him on a really big pace. I got him on 122 targets, which just might be a little too damn high. 77 receptions, 1,145 yards, 7 touchdowns. The guy gets gets around 14, 15 yards a reception. That really helps out, and he's pretty good at catching the ball too. So it makes those targets go just a little ways. But man, it does seem like a lot of targets, doesn't it? I got Hilton. I got Paris Hilton, Paris Campbell, and Michael Pittman. Where my mind is around 75 targets each, roughly. So I don't know. Not loving that.
How do you have the running back targets?
Running back targets. We got Mac for a measly 22 targets, 16 receptions. JT for only 33 and 24, and maybe he'll be the passing, receiving guy that he hasn't been so far in college. But Naheem Hines at 61 targets, 46 receptions. So between them, 118, 15, somewhere in there.
So that's about 20%. That's not bad. And then you got Hilton at 20% too, just about. And I'm guessing you probably have him around 600 attempts.
I have him at 580. And I got another. I guess the tight ends are getting about 120 receptions between them. I hope we're not gonna have a little bad luck on the show because it's a black cat crossing the screen. It's a cute little kitten you got there.
Yeah, she likes to bomb our shows too.
That's awesome. All right.
I'm not too crazy on the T.Y. Hilton train, but I know a lot of people are thinking he's right around this range. So it's more me than you.
That's all good. It's all good. Lots of people like to discuss this. Let's talk about these next two guys together. Odell Beckham and AJ Green, wide receiver number 18 and 19. Will they stay healthy? Will they play all their games? Will they be? You can't even talk about them together because there's so many other variables on these two teams. So those listening, those watching on the YouTubes, feel free to put your comments in here. We'll talk about them on the show. You got questions, we'll answer them on the show too. That's what the live stream episode is all about. So Odell Beckham, is his quarterback having the rebound? AJ Green, is his quarterback going to come out as a rookie and make things happen? Both, I guess you can't talk about them together really. Both wide receiver cores have lots of people who can take targets from you. With Landry, and not necessarily that third wide receiver out there, kind of, sort of, but more Kareem Hunt's very capable. They got 2 tight ends that are capable of catching out there. And then Odell Beckham has, AJ Green has many wide receivers that can compete. CJ Uzomah is not going to do much at tight end, but Joe Mixon's and then Bernard aren't too bad in the backfield. So how you feeling about these two guys?
So I definitely think that AJ Green is going to come back, kind of different than what T.Y. Hilton did. AJ Green is going to come back, and I do think he's going to be himself. I think we can all agree he sat out last season more because he just didn't want to play him. If they were a playoff contender, we probably think AJ Green would have been in there. And now you slot in Joe Burrow. I really don't think he's a worse player than Andy Dalton at all. I would consider that an upgrade. I know a lot of people are. So we have to assume that AJ Green's going to come in. He's going to be the wide receiver 1. And I think that he's going to be the kind of guy that's going to go back and get 130 targets. I think he's going to be a 90-catch potential guy with 1,200 yards and potential for double-digit touchdowns.
Okay.
Now,
I can see it. I can completely see the realm where that is completely possible, and that's the cool thing about it. I can also see the realm where I think he was the guy who earlier this week was already getting his hammy or something worked on or something like that. I think earlier this week, I feel like it was AJ Green, but my mind might be slightly wrong in there. So that's always a little scary. It's like, damn it, he's just coming back off and he's already getting a little treatment. But I could be wrong as well.
Yeah, I'll have to double check on that as well. But you're not wrong. You may be wrong. Like the next couple weeks are going to be scary for every single player. I mean, we had a couple of scares today.
Miles Sanders, something made my heart cry.
Devontae Adams, yeah, Miles. Oh my goodness, I thought it was a joke when I was told. And so I think the offense is so good with Joe Mixon. He's a really good player to me. I think Tyler Boyd has taken his leap as a really good wide receiver too. C. Higgins is going to be a red zone threat. I think it's just almost going to be tough for AJ Green not to see a lot of one-on-one. And for once, exactly. It's been a long time. I mean, we still remember the days of Mohamed Sanu being one of his better wide receivers, and we see where Sanu is now. I think people are a little too low on him, and I understand it though. Skepticism, his age, the new quarterback, new scheme. Zach Taylor really, really loves to run the ball. He loves Joe Mixon, but he's got a quarterback now, so we can see what he wants to do some more. They threw the ball a lot with what they had to deal with. That's kind of where I'm at with AJ Green. I would love to talk. How you feel about? Do you go with Cincinnati?
I drafted Tyler Boyd last night over AJ Green. I let him sit there.
Oh, wow.
I just didn't draft AJ Green. That's the problem.
True.
It wasn't that I wanted him more. I wasn't feeling it, and I let him slide on by. And I got a Eddie A out there says, yes, sir, hammy issues already for AJ Green. So we got the fact checkers working for us. Thank you, Eddie A. Appreciate it, buddy. Love that.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's obviously plausible to like we said, be afraid of the age and be afraid of him coming in, but to grab, if you obviously Tyler Boyd may be the value. What is he, like 3 or 4 rounds behind, I believe. Season. So it certainly could be a value, but if you were to put them both together, I think you'd have to say AJ Green is going to get more opportunity.
So listen to this right here. Fantasy Pros has AJ Green at 29 and ranked 29, and Tyler Boyd ranked 30.
Jeez, you had yourself there. I have a 20 target difference, so, and I do have Green with some more yardage, higher yards per catch and yards per target. So
it's one of those backfield or wide receiver courts. It's just tricky to figure out.
There's
so many outcomes that can change.
There are, and like I said, I don't predict injury. I will always predict 16 games. I mean, as much as we know a player may never play 16, I still got to, like Will Fuller. I'm going to project him for 16 games. Now my rankings, that's where I won't just go straight on projection. I will certainly keep him a little lower. Hey, I want another guy over him. But I think that's how a lot of us tend to draft, right? We come up with our rankings and we're like, oh man, this guy's right. I have him, with 10 points more, but I really want him more than the other guy. Go get your guy. That's the point of fantasy. Get your guy. Speaking of my guy, Odell Beckham. Sorry, you asked me about him. I'll be quick with Odell. You kind of hit the points on that. Jarvis Landry's not going to be there in the beginning of the season. I think we can see that happening.
Yeah.
We got a new tight end in Austin Hooper coming in. Baker Mayfield loves his tight ends. He's thrown 33% of his tight ends in his career. 2 tight ends. Who the hell's been his tight end besides David Njoku you could think of, right? He's actually thrown touchdowns to 7 of them. So, that goes to show you where Austin Hooper is going to become something, and that's going to help Odell Beckham in the red zone.
Sure, absolutely.
Odell Beckham is going to get those targets. He was on a similar pace for red zone targets with Jarvis Landry. That shouldn't happen. I know Landry's a great route runner, but Odell Beckham is great with contested catches. He can get big. I have him as my 13th wide receiver. A lot of it because of the first 3 to 4 games where I think he's going to be seeing 12 to 14 targets.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next guy as we're rolling through here. We're rolling through here. We caught back up. We are at wide receiver number 20. And that's a guy that a lot of people have a lot higher than I do. I am a little afraid to buy back in. I'm a little afraid to buy back into the quarterback. But, man, I love the opportunity. You can't project injury, but I don't know. All right, so wide receiver 20, Juju McSchuster. He's at 186.9. He's less than a point ahead of Tyler Lockett, which I'm more comfortable drafting Lockett than Juju, but we're going to talk about Juju right now. Not necessarily at the same draft position, just on my team as a personal thing. So I can totally see the world where Juju is Juju of old, Ben is Ben of old, James Conner is James Conner of old, and this team is just rocking and rolling, putting up points, chucking the ball everywhere, throwing it to the running back. And I can see the world where that elbow that supposedly I heard this week he was short throwing or something like that. It wasn't his normal, not wind up or whatever you want to call it, throwing progression, where you could look like his elbow was affected, or maybe it was a little sore, or maybe it's just affected by the surgery. I don't know.
Yeah, it looked a little different.
Yeah, it looked different. I could totally see that messing with him, and maybe him hopefully not getting injured and going down sooner. So I have Juju for 122 reception. Targets, 81 receptions, 1,047 yards, 7 touchdowns. I got Deontay with 104 targets, 66 receptions. My boy James Washington at 85 targets, 47 receptions, and Claypool's even getting there with 60 targets, 37 receptions. So I just got it so spread out there, and I think that's part of what's holding me back on Juju. You kick Washington out of the way, drop him down to 20, spread out his targets between the other 3 guys, and he jumps up several ranks.
So who do you have? How many targets, I guess, would you have for Ben again?
610.
Okay, so that would leave you with about 250 targets. You kind of dispersed to everybody else?
Yeah. I got 100.
Yeah, I think it was about 360 when you said those 4 numbers there. So yeah. I got Juju as my wide receiver 10.
Uh-huh.
I'm on that world that you said where everything gets back to normal. Okay. I'm believing in the fact that Ben Roethlisberger had rested enough time. I believe that he waited and listened to the doctors enough time till he could start throwing again. And I think he's going to be had been throwing enough. I mean, he wasn't going to play in the preseason games. I think we can, if he wasn't going to be playing. So I don't think that any of this happening right now is anything different for Ben Roethlisberger. Juju Smith coming in, being 20, Juju Smith-Schuster coming in, still being 23, still doing what he did last season. I mean, he had 552 yards. He still had over 13 yards a catch with, Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph. Again, some of the worst tandems in the league. There's been a common theme here where, the guys dealing with bad tandem quarterbacks, I like them coming in because they've all upgraded. Yeah. Obviously, if Big Ben gets injured again, this goes downhill completely. He's bad. He's down more closer to the 20, way beyond. I mean, he finished 66 last year, so we're definitely not hoping for that. But even if Big Ben comes back and only throws 550 or 525, which would be a very career low in almost 10 years for him, I still think Juju can see 130 or 140 of those. I have him, like I said, I have him for 161. He's my 4th most targeted receiver. 108. Yeah. I have him for 108 catches, 1,340 yards, and 7 touchdowns like you have.
Okay, so you're I'm a little higher on the touchdown side. You're probably a little lower than his pace would be on that many targets, but
Ebron will help. And Ben Roethlisberger's coming back. The only familiar face is Juju. He didn't play with Deontay. James Washington, he got to play with very little. And then Claypool's coming in. So that's why I think he's going to go what he loves. He had 166 targets with AJ Brown or Antonio Brown in 2018. So I don't see a reason why he couldn't do 160-ish again.
Okay. I can dig it. He's one of those players you can see. There's some players you just see, okay, yeah, that's where you should be. Just shut up and sit there. And some guys, it's like this. The spectrum is just so varying.
It seems like you like him a lot. It's just the quarterback is connected. It's what if side if Big Ben gets injured, which I know a lot of people. It's tough. You got to hedge your bet. You know, if you're risk averse, with some things.
I think on top of that, I think if you were to look at your Johnson, Washington, Claypool targets, I bet those are lower than 104, 85, and 61. So I bet that alone pushes him. But that's my guess.
I'm a big Deontay Johnson guy. I'm expecting him and Juju to be more of the hyper targeted guys. Okay. So actually, I got Deontay for 120.
Okay.
But then I have Washington for 91. I think you had 85.
Yeah. So okay.
I've only got Claypool for 50.
All right. So you're how many targets do you have Ben for overall?
607.
3 less than me. Okay.
Yeah. Right. I don't have a lot. I don't have a lot going for Ebron. I don't have a lot for Vance McDonald. I don't have a lot for I have James Conner with 71 targets. So I don't
here.
Yeah. I don't see Jalen Samuels getting a crazy amount. Okay. I know they love him. They say they love him more. Or Benny Snell too. Like I just don't see it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. That's for those Brooklyn Nine-Nine fans. Let's go with. I hope you do know what that is.
Oh yeah. I don't watch it, but I mean, I do. Trust me, I hear good things.
Good stuff. All right, Tyler Lockett. It's a man I love here. A man who should have a better year than he's just so awesome. Tyler Lockett is 21 for me. Tyler Lockett is 19, so I'm not far off everyone else. Seattle down here, Seattle up there. I have him and Metcalf each around 110 targets. Lockett's receptions at 80 versus Metcalf's 64. That's a deep ball issue again. But 957 versus 980 on the receptions because those deep receptions making up for some. And both guys had 8 touchdowns. So wide receiver 28 for Metcalf and 21 for Lockett. So a lot of people would say I'm probably way too low on Metcalf because that train is rolling out of the station. For a lot of people, how you feeling those guys?
I'm on your train there. I've got Metcalf at 27, and I've got Lockett at 17. So okay. I'm going to say we're probably pretty close with our projections. I got 118 targets, 87 catches. I got 11 touchdowns.
Ooh, all right, I like it. I'll take that. You're talking about Tyler Lockett? I'll take that.
He's a touchdown machine. That's what we've seen Russell Wilson do it. I mean, Doug Baldwin had 16 that one year. It's just they're both hyper efficient players. That's what they do. Since the start of 2017, 50 receivers have had at least 200 targets over the last 3 years. Only 2 of them have averaged 10 yards per target. Tyreek Hill and Tyler Lockett.
I love it. Yeah, Tyler Lockett.
When you're in any conversation with Tyreek Hill, people turn their heads and you should look at him.
I like it. Let's go to.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No,
I was just going to say Metcalf. Metcalf's great. Just had over 1,000 yards, had his 100 targets. I think he's going to be the same player he was this year statistically. I don't know if there's going to be much big of a leap. That's kind of where I am. I love DK Metcalf, the talent. I think this year he's going to learn his routes a little bit more, learn to play a little bit more off pressure. Unfortunately, he didn't get that true off season to do it for that second-year wide receiver. But he'll progress better second half than first half in my mind.
Yeah, and hopefully Mr. Unlimited gets to throw the ball quite a bit more, and they don't hold him, restrain him, because that team is so capable of so much more if they just unleash him.
They really should.
Yeah, they really are. So let's go over to this guy that for whatever reason I've had a little love affair with on every year except the year he broke out. His breakout was so conditional. There are so many asterisks next to it.
You didn't see it coming?
Huh? Yeah. So you got the guy who loves to chuck the ball. Great, Fitzpatrick. Will he play any games this year? Will he play all the games this year? Will they swap him out? I think the bye is around week 11, 10. Will they swap him out there just so they can get not redshirt the quarterback the whole way and just get him a little bit on the field to see what they got? They know what they have in Tua, but just to get him out there and get him acclimated before next year, but they still want to get their good draft pick, and level up there. Who knows? He could last, and they have a kind of crappy schedule, playing a lot of tough defenses. So then do they yank Fitzpatrick even quicker and throw in Tua, or they just let him ride out the season and take their lumps? And we don't know where this team's at mentally, what they're thinking. We're just not totally sure. Parker had 128 targets last year, 72 receptions, 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns. I'm giving him 121 this year, 69 receptions. Nice. 959 yards and 9 touchdowns. So that's pretty decent. 105 for Preston Williams, just because that's the next question you're going to ask, right? What are you giving Preston Williams? I'm giving him 105, 56 receptions. His reception average is around 53, so it was not very solid. That could definitely improve for this year, and that could totally bump him up to a lot better year in and of itself, and 750 yards roughly and 6 touchdowns. And I also have Jakeem Grant sliding in there for 77 receptions or targets, 45 receptions, almost 600 yards and 3 touchdowns himself. That man's a little speed demon. He's slept on, and in best ball is probably about the only place you're going to take him. But one of those two guys gets hurt, and he gets into the eyes of Fitzpatrick. That could be very dangerous too. So a little sleeper there for you out of nowhere.
How do you have your running back targets looking?
Let's see. Jordan Howard is going to beast out at 117 targets. That's a lie. 17 targets. He's like, okay, I'm turning off my microphone, putting down my headset. I am now off this show. He's smoking crack. No, 17 targets. That's pretty generous. That's 1 target a game, just because he happened to be on the field at the right time. He only catches 12 of those, which is not bad for him. Probably pretty good. 55 targets for Breida, which is not a crazy number, and 33 targets for Patrick Laird. And maybe you slice up some of Laird's targets and throw them somewhere. Who knows? It's hard to tell where the backfield will go, but you assume they're going to go to Breida. And Howard's going to get most of the rushing work because he's a lunch pail kind of guy who'll just pound out the yardage. So, and I gave 94 to Mike Gesicki because I'm looking for him to have a good year.
Yeah, he's going to be a big breakout. The reason I asked too with the running backs, Chan Gailey, the last 3 offenses that he's coached as an offensive coordinator have had 21% target share. So for me, that pulls some away from.
Here you go. I'll tell you between them. Just so you know, that's rushing, receiving. Should I go too far?
Yeah, while you check that out, so Devontae Parker, like I said, that's going to pull some of that back for me, especially with how well he did from weeks 10 to 17. He was the number 2 wide receiver in non-PP. Oh yeah, you have 20
between them.
Perfect. Yeah. So that's good because I have Devontae Parker. I have from 109 targets. I have Preston Williams for 108, so I have him real close. But I have the efficiency going on too. I mean, he was over 16 yards per catch last year. That was over 3 yards bigger than his career high. Like I was saying, he had 18 plays of 20-plus yards from weeks 10 to 17. Nobody was even close to that. Tyreek Hill at 11. Like, it was crazy. So, and that was all after Preston Williams got injured. And when he was the number 2 wide receiver during that span, I mean, he was just far and away better than number 3. He was just no good enough for him. But unfortunately, like you said, I loved him forever. I had him on a couple of dynasty teams for 5 years.
And traded him last year like I did?
No, I kept him, but I just sold him. So like now I'm like, oh, did I give up on him? Like, what am I doing? But I like Tua. I don't know when that's going to happen. I like Fitz, but like you said, the defenses will be tough. They will be playing from behind. He's my 26th wide receiver. Maybe a little too low, but
yeah, I can see that. And I gave both of those wide receivers around between 13 under 14 yards per catch, and so I'm thinking that Tua comes in at some point, and I'm thinking that the crazy chucking the ball so deep goes down. But then you know what? The reception percentage probably goes up a little. So it's probably about a wash at the end of the day. So my current Devontae Parker and a guy that I have projected so damn high that people would easily laugh. Where is he? Corey Davis. I got him way too high. I got him in the Debo Samuel, and that's probably based on current bodily injury. I've only got him a few spots behind Boyd. I got him right behind John Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, right ahead of Emmanuel Sanders, Justin Jefferson, and Anthony Miller. So I'm looking for him to step up this year. It's about 20 picks away from where we're going to be, but we're close to wrapping this bad boy up. But I want to throw another little sleeper in there. I was about to take him with my last pick, but a little rookie running back came available that I didn't think I was going to be able to take. And I thought it was a good shot to take a good guy to take a shot on because I think he could have a chance if the running backs, if Chris Carson isn't good to go. And so I snagged him there. Might be in the wrong backfield, I'm thinking. But anyway, I was going to take him as my last pick just to try and stick with my rankings. But you know what? I can wait to see who gets injured before the season, and I can just go pick him up then. So,
Exactly.
You got anybody on your little sleeper breakout, whatever list that you want to throw in before we wrap up the show here?
Oh man, so I was talking before about Laviska Shenault.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's tough when it comes to rookies, especially when they draft them, but he's in a fantastic situation that many rookies don't necessarily walk into, very similar to Justin Jefferson. Laviska is my fourth dynasty wide receiver, but he's my number 2 for redraft, right behind Justin Jefferson. I think he's in a good chance to have 100 targets. Minshew worked really well between the 10 to 20 yard range, and that's what Laviska Shenault is. He's built for speed. He's a yards after catch guy. He dominates. He's not he can go in the slot, let Chark play on the outside, and he can go in the slot for sure. And like I said, that's where Minshew and him are going to connect. But you can get him in the literally probably your last pick. There's not a lot. I'm in a lot of mocks right now. Nobody's really grabbing him, and he can come in day one and see 8 to 10 targets a game. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
7 to 8 targets a game, but he can run the ball too. I think 8 to 10 touches is very viable. He ran the ball a bit in college. He was just a touchdown machine.
Yeah. So that's a little sneaky one. And if you're playing on top of that, if you're in a redraft league, but you're playing in a little keeper league where you can keep them for 1 or 2 or 3 round penalty or something like that, when you grab a guy like that in your last round, that you can find out quickly in the first 2-3 weeks that this guy has got potential. This guy has a shot to be the number 2, probably not the number 1, but maybe the number 2 on a team. You can keep him, have a little productivity of him, and you can keep him for next year super cheap. That's the kind of guy you look for in that last round.
There's a lot of them, man. There really are this year. Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk, low guys, really high round guys. Yeah,
I agree. Well, we are going to cut this show at wide receiver number. Where did we leave off there?
So you had Diggs at 23. We kind of talked about him earlier, so maybe Keenan Allen at 24.
All right, yeah, 24.
Oh, your show.
No. All right, we're going to go 24. We got to make it to 12 and 12, right? All right, Keenan Allen. Let's talk about Keenan Allen and AJ Brown. Let's go to 25. We'll go in overtime here. Keenan Allen. What do you say? How do you feel about Keenan Allen? How do you feel about AJ Brown? I'm gonna pull out some stuff for them while you're talking about.
So Keenan Allen's my wide receiver 24. AJ Brown is my wide receiver 19. Keenan Allen, he's probably going to be the number 1 targeted player with Tyrod. I had the luxury of watching Tyrod for a few years, playing in Buffalo, and he doesn't take many down the field shots. I'm worried about Mike Williams. I know a lot of people like him, but he just didn't do it. He had Sammy Watkins his rookie year in 2014. Sammy Watkins had a high yards per catch, but that was kind of just Sammy Watkins in my opinion. Very talented player, but I don't know. Keenan Allen's very talented. He can get the high touchdown rates for a slot receiver. So I think he'll be getting targeted a lot, but I have him for 128 targets, but I only have him for 88 catches and just under 1,000 yards, but I have him for 7 touchdowns.
Sounds about right to me. I'll leave that right where it sits because I'm not really going to argue it much. I haven't ranked the same spot you do, and I'm pretty comfortable with just about all your thoughts. Let's go to the guy that I have at 25, and
astonishing.
Fantasy Pros has at 16, and you have at
19.
19 for AJ Brown. Okay,
But,
so you're in the middle there. You're in the middle.
No, and he's an astonishing player, and kind of like Beastie talked about before with DJ Chark. I feel like you either like AJ Brown or you don't. You believe in that elite efficiency, that Hall of Fame efficiency, or you don't. But that's like I mentioned before. Tennessee in 2018 and last season, they threw under 450 attempts. You can't do that again. It just doesn't happen. League average is like 550. They're going to get it up to 500. He's going to get more targets. Now, he's not going to average 20 yards per catch. He can't average 20 yards per catch. That was the highest in the league since 2014 and the highest for a rookie since 1995. So let's be real on that one. But, 4 out of 6 games in that last stretch, he had at least 114 yards and a touchdown. So we know he can be explosive. But I'm more so hedging myself with what I have more targets for him. I have 115 targets. But I think, like I said, they're going to throw the ball more. So I gave him just about 23% target share.
Okay.
So, but I only have him for 14.5 yards per target. So I brought that down a lot. So I had him for 75 catches. So he's at 1,250 yards, but I gave him 7 touchdowns.
Okay. So I don't know, man. I gave the team 450 receptions. That's more than they had attempts. That's more than they had last year. That's more than they had the year before. And the 2 years before that, they only had 496 and 504.
Yeah.
So they are just intentionally a low passing attempt team. That's their goal in life, and they're living it. 504, 496, 437, and 448. Granted, that 437 was with Mariota really being kind of tore up. So you give him a few more. He's still, I think, 450 is not a crazy number. If I give him some more targets, it would definitely come up. I'm giving him 90 targets with 56 receptions, just over 1,000 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. And then I'm giving Corey Davis 99 targets, 61 receptions, 841 receiving yards because his yards are not nearly per reception, not nearly as high, and 6 touchdowns. So it's a comeback year. Wide receiver 43. I got ranked for Corey Davis. I think those extra targets go towards Corey Davis because A.J. Brown gets more of the double team. I think that's where a lot of those targets slide because he is a talented wide receiver that can actually step up with that work being pushed towards A.J. Brown. And I think their defense is not quite, that amazing. And they're probably going to be needing to throw the ball more, needing to chuck the ball more. So I could see them having more receptions than I even have them for. But I think that really gets split between them. I just can't see A.J. Brown getting that 120 workload. Jonnu for 81. Derrick Henry for 18. 18, that seems low. And Darrington Evans for 36. I just don't have much going to the running backs either. Another 10 to the other backs, 5 each. So
yeah. And I had him with 508 attempts, so I think you said 450. So if you add most that 60 attempts, and that means you give 28 more to AJ Brown.
I'm doing it right now. I just changed it to 508. Everything will auto generate after that, and that bumps me to refresh. Boy, what the hell are you doing? Ooh,
and he's and he started playing full snaps in week 10. So that I think that Tannehill coming over later and establishing that connection with him is why he'll be more targeted than Corey Davis. We're hoping for that hashtag 5th year breakout with Corey Davis.
Not holding our breath though, right?
No, not at all.
No, it's one of those things. Call your shot, see what happens. So 508.
Yeah, and he didn't get targeted a lot in the playoffs, AJ Brown. So we know that that's kind of alarming to see when he does as well as he does during the playoff or during the regular season, and then they get to the playoffs, and it's like, well, where's AJ Brown? Why isn't he getting the ball? But they wanted to ground and pound, and they wanted to run everybody over. They want to continue that, but that's why I think they upped the ball over 500 attempts because they can't do what they did last season with Tannehill for those 10 games. You can't do it over 16.
No, not usually. Not usually.
All my sock.
Yeah. So here we go. We bump him from 508 to 550 receptions. That gives AJ Brown 110, Corey Davis 121, 1,300 yards for AJ Brown because of that. Pretty high yards per catch. I got him at 10-28 for Corey Davis, 8 and 6 touchdowns. Those will probably come up a little. That's wide receiver 11 and wide receiver 28. Wow, so those extra 42 targets, not even receptions.
Yeah, the extra 28, yeah.
Yeah, makes a pretty big difference. But I'm not doing
Well,
that. So
like
I'm
we were
putting
talking
it
about
back.
before the show, though, you're like we talked about Calvin Ridley being 30, and if he was to get 2 touchdowns more than your projection, he wind up being wide receiver 14 or 15.
Oh yeah,
So,
we never even got to Calvin Ridley, did we?
That's okay.
Damn. All right. Yeah, it's a lot of these guys are separated by a mere half point, quarter point.
And I think that goes to show everybody the uncertainty, like BC was talking about, how tough it is, because you want to project the best for these players. Of course you do. You can see a world for every single player of how well they can do. Where's that ceiling? But you have to step back into reality and say, well, how's that floor going to be? Because that is going to be there too. That opportunity where things maybe not are going to go as well as you hope for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for this show. But before we go, Antonio, and I did not even mess with your last name. Tell everybody who you are, where you can be found, and when your show airs, all those good kind of things, and the details they need to know.
Absolutely, man. So it's Antonio Donisi, FF, DONISI. You can find me at the Dynasty Mafia _FF. I'm on the Dynasty Mafia podcast. We have we come out on a weekly basis. We are about to concrete a day. It's looking like it's probably going to be Wednesday once the season starts. But we have a website coming out, the Dynasty Mafia Podcast.network. So more to come with that. Make sure to follow my brothers at Eric D _FF, and then Keenan is Keenan _716. So we got a good crowd over there. I really appreciate coming on here. And yeah, if you guys want to feel free to listen, I'd appreciate it. And Bob's a great guy. This has been a great show, man.
That was a good time. It's always a good time. Love having guests on. You're fantastic. Love your hard work you put into your projections. You can always tell when somebody's just flying by the seat of their pants, so they actually did some work. Man, did some work. So
yeah, it's a good thing. And for people that are afraid to do it, don't be, man. Just go into Excel, start playing around with things. It's so much fun. It gets to be almost addicting. You find yourself every single day. Oh, what did I hear there? What did I hear there? I got to change what I'm doing.
Tweak it.
Oh yeah, it's right now. We're hitting that point, man. Every 10 minutes I'm on there.
Yeah, I can't wait to the end season. Damn weeklies. Oh, it's gonna be fun.
Vindication and a lot of tears.
Yeah, exactly. So I am at Bob's Three Toed Warriors on Twitter. On YouTube, it is Bob's Three Toed Warriors just Bob's Three Toed Warriors. And I was about to give you my email address, bobstreetoedwarriors@gmail. If you want to send me an email. Got my own email. It's kind of cool, kind of a big deal. And Word on the Streets on the Facebook page. So shows are Mondays and Thursdays right now. Live streams are Wednesdays right now with the replay on Saturdays. But that's enough for this show. We appreciate everybody listening. And this Bob's Three Toed Warriors and Antonio reminding you that soon enough you'll be able to hit the waiver wire, set your lineups, dominate your opponents. But until then, we'll see you. I wasn't even messing with that last name. Wasn't going to do it.